First, we need to establish lighting for our miniature, and to do that, we're going to turn off the lights and then turn on a really bright light over the top of it. In this case, I'm using my painting light. This is especially important for Spider-Man Noir because he is monochrome, which means he is only black and white. This makes it so that we have to be very good on our lighting when we're painting him for him to make sense. And with this bright light shining on top of this miniature, we can identify where we want our brightest highlights and where we want some softer highlights. So let me show you how to paint black without just leaving it pure black by using additional values to make it really pop. Let's grab a brush and get painting. To start off, we're going to take Dungeon Stone Gray by 2 thin coats. You can use any standard gray. We're going to begin sketching our highlighted areas that we identified through that practice earlier on in the video. This step is going to look ugly, but it is important to establish where we're going to have those brighter values. So take that paint and just work it along those areas that we had brighter lights on during our experiment. Don't worry about blending or anything like that. That's all going to be taken care of in later steps. Once that first coat is done, go ahead and give it another go over so that way we can have a solid color there. During our picture, we didn't really see the back of the miniature, so I decided I do want a lot of highlighting back there just to kind of have the sun hitting from behind. This step looks really gross and messy, but that's okay. We're going to be blending it all and fixing it later. With our lighting in mind, I am keeping this side mostly dark. Alright, now we're going to be taking about a 50-50 mix of Death Reaper by 2 thin coats and Skavenblight Dinge by Citadel. And we're going to start to apply it towards both the highlights and the recesses, and this is going to be sort of our middle stage. Once again, you don't have to worry about blending at this point. Just sketch it in, get it blocked in there, and we'll worry about the blending later on. Don't worry too much if you cover a lot of your original gray. This miniature is going to be a lot of back and forth. So we're going to be applying one color, then we're going to be applying the next color, and then we're going to kind of apply the previous color back until we feel like it's right. And at this point, we're going to be coloring the majority of the model. We really want to define those middle points that we're going to have for our values. So even though an area might look like it's supposed to be pure black, we're not going to leave it pure black. We never want to really leave pure black. We're going to add darker values later on. And that might not make a lot of sense, but trust me, this dark gray is going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting for this miniature. Now we're going to take pure Death Reaper and we're going to water it down and start to glaze it towards those darker shadowed areas. This is going to be our darkest color, with the exception of tiny little bits of pure black. And that might be surprising, but it really just works. Because we're glazing, don't worry about going over our middle tone that we established. That's just going to blend the middle and the darker together, which is what we want. In fact, don't even worry about going over your brighter gray because that's also going to help blend everything together. Now we're going to go back to that standard gray and start to be a little bit more refined with our highlighting. And we're going to take our brush and we're going to do refined brush strokes on those points where we really want the highlights to be showing. And once again, I did mention the back and forth, so you will be correcting as you go with your darker tones, and that's going to help blend everything together. But at this point, make sure your paint is thin, make sure you can blend it well as you brush it on. Let's focus on making our blends great. At this point, I've already done a lot of back and forth, a lot of blending between our already established values. And keeping control of that back and forth is going to be very important as we get brighter. And to get brighter, we're going to take a little bit of 2 thin coats Wizard Gray, mix it in with our previous gray, and start to highlight. Don't go too bright with this step, but even if you do, we can fix it with blends and glazes. Soft brush strokes, and then once you've applied that, go back to your previous color and start to blend it in, so that way we can bring those stronger colors back to our darker tones. And here is a quick look after that stage of highlighting and blending back. Now we're going to be highlighting with a mixture of Carcharodon Gray and Wizard Gray. And as you can see, this line that we're making right here is a huge, huge contrast to our previous darker tones. And that is okay. Just water down your previous gray and apply it over it, and it will blend it in and make it look more natural. And we're just going to be doing this for all of those points we identified in our early picture where those brightest highlights will be hitting. And this step is truly the most important because it's going to establish all of that contrast we really need to make this miniature not look like a giant gray blob. Speaking of our earlier picture, we did identify that the forehead is going to get a lot of highlighting on it based on where the light is hitting. So we're going to be mixing in a little bit more of that wizard gray. We're going to water it down and we're going to start to glaze that color into the forehead. I'm also going to make sure that I hit his right side of the head where I identified that more light would also be hitting based on my own idea. Just like this. And then once again, we will blend it down by glazing in some of our darker tones to make it all match. Big jump here, but I completed all of my highlighting step that I mentioned previously with that coherent gray, and as you can see, it's really starting to fan out. But there's a lot of brightness to it, so we're going to start to kill that with a nice wash of Oblivion Black Wash by Two Thin Coats. When you're applying this, you want to avoid hitting your highlights. If you hit them with this black wash, you'll effectively destroy them, so don't do that. So for this, you just want to start it at your middle tones, maybe a little bit of your brighter tones, not those highlights, and just make your brush strokes towards your shadows to blend it all together. All right, we're gonna start on the eyes, and I'm gonna use the blue toned gray instead of my normal gray just to give it a little bit of variety. So we're gonna use Wolf Gray by Two Thin Coats. And you'll wanna be stable. I have both of my hands as well as the painting handle firmly on my desk so it doesn't move. And just paint it in there. If you make a mistake, you can always go back and fix them, don't worry. Once we have that color solidly in there, we're going to be taking our black wash and we're going to be applying it towards the top left-hand corner of the goggles. The darkness in that corner will help it look like a lens. To highlight that, we're going to take Gravestone Blue and we're going to make a couple soft lines in those lens as best as you can because it's difficult. And then to finish off the lens, you're just going to take pure white and you're going to do a small dot in that top left-hand corner. It's tough to get in there with the ridge of the goggles around there, but it's not as difficult as a pupil, so you have this. And there you have it, Spider-Man Noir is completed, and this was a lot of fun to paint, even though it was like 5, 6, whatever colors. It really goes to show you that you can create an entire model just by using a very limited palette, and in this case we created a monochrome model with just a few grays. We didn't have a whole lot of actual blacks that wash did a lot of work, but we didn't leave much black at all from our primer. And that really goes to show you that color matters in your miniature, even when it is black and white. Don't just leave your blacks black and your whites white. Use your values, use your colors, because it can really make everything pop and look amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Those things are all fantastic for me. Hit me up on my social medias. I have links below. Also, a link below is the Two Thin Coats conversion chart, so if you don't have any Two Thin Coats, check it out and see what colors you might have that you can use instead of what I suggest in the video. Thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next one.